We're going to be talking about change management, a personal journey. Change is inevitable, but successful change requires strategic leadership. And in this keynote, Alistair Langan will equip finance leaders with proven tools to navigate change with confidence. Attendees, that means you guys, will learn how to communicate change effectively, manage resistance, and maintain team morale. Discover actionable insights for assessing readiness, implementing transformation, and ensuring team alignment. Now, whether introducing new technology, restructuring, or driving cultural change, this session will empower leaders to turn challenges into opportunities. Now, Alistair Langan, Global Commercial Finance Director, worked previously for PlayStation and Costa Coffee. I like the PlayStation thing here because I used to do a TV show called Video and Arcade Top 10, and it was based on PlayStation and Super Nintendo. So you got me. You got me interested. Now, with his passion for turning numbers into strategy, Alistair's a seasoned senior finance director who spent his career helping high-growth global companies make smarter, faster decisions. He thrives at the intersection of finance and strategy, partnering with executive teams to shape go-to-market plans and more. Known for his collaborative leadership style, he's built and led high-performing international teams, and I can tell you right now, he's got a bio about this big, and I just paraphrased it. Alistair, how you doing today, and where are you coming from?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Yeah, I appreciate the short intro. I'm in a little village just outside of London, where I live, just sort of northwest of London.
Fantastic. What's the weather like there?
Yeah, seasonally, unseasonably warm for us, so we're not coping with the dry weather. But the very exciting news for us Brits is it's just started raining, and we do like rain in the UK. So back to normal.
All right, that sounds great. Okay, I'm going to leave it over to you. I'll be chiming in about 2 minutes before your session is up. I'll keep an eye out for questions. I'm going to get off my mic right now, and Alistair, it's over to you.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thanks, Rob. So, yeah, as Rob said, I want to talk to you about change management and my journey through change management. So, Rob, could you just give me a thumbs up that you can see a slide with lots of words for change? Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to go through change as I've experienced it and as I've hopefully coped with it. Like we'll talk about it. It's not always the easiest, and it's quite often quite a scary thing. So change is many things, and it's lots of these words that you can see here. From an alteration to a decline, something minor, something major. It's an adjustment. It's something which we need to interact with. Is it always bad? Is it good? Really, I think that comes down to your personal approach to change. And I'm just going to take you through a few insights that I've gleaned over my time dealing with change. Change quite often happens like this. This is the change curve, which some of you may have seen before. It's by a lady called Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and she talks about this as the 5 stages of grief. And so you may well recognize yourself and your journey through this. When change happens, we start on the left-hand side, and hopefully we move all the way to the right-hand side. But at the start, it's shock, it's denial. This can't be right. It's not really going to happen. Why is this happening? And that can be quite difficult and a heightened emotional state. And we can move from there to anger and blame and resistance. This is ridiculous. Whose idea is this? Why is this happening? This can't be right. So it's quite an emotional journey at that point, and can lead to people then trying to bargain their way through this in terms of finding maybe we could do something different. Surely we don't have to face into this. Very much this first bit is a very resistive phase. It's change that we weren't expecting, and therefore we're not accepting. Unfortunately, quite a lot of us will then go through the bottom of this curve. You can see at the bottom there, depression, quite a depression, confusion, maybe less emotive. But really at this point, we realize that we can't resist, and that can feel quite a place of being out of control. And I think what I'm going to try and talk to you about over the next few minutes is how we can have control through this phase, and get more into the acceptance phase and thrive in change. Because we do often come out of this phase, we go through then an exploration phase and a decision phase of, well, actually, there might be something in this and there could be a possibility. And actually, fundamentally, the sun comes up and it goes down and we move on, and time is a great healer and we move through this. It's not a linear curve, though. Some people can go straight from shock to, yeah, let's just get on with it. And what I'll talk about is that recognizing this in other people and in yourself is important. Someone may have missed a step, may have missed a phase, and that can be quite dangerous because they can go back quite quickly just as well as you can go forward. So recognizing that there are stages of any change, whether it's small, whether it's big, your initial phase will be resistive and you move through to an acceptive phase. So quite a useful model to recognize this in yourself and others. What we can do is look at that change and sort of reframe it as a transition. A change is something that happens to us. It's external. It's an event or circumstance that happens to us. It can happen quickly. And transition is something that is more internal, something that we go through an adjustment ourselves and think, okay, how could this change? How have I seen this before? How can I get through this? And what I found quite useful is that if we're now internally focusing on this, then we can look at this. It's another model, a model called the Bridges Transition Model. And again, you can see here a time series from left to right, with the first part of this being very, very important, that we deal with what's ending, what we're losing, what we're letting go. And that can be something that is still quite resistive and can give you anxiety. But if you can start documenting that and understanding that and the things that have to change, you can get more into this neutral zone and hopefully get into the neutral zone in a more quicker way, which is, if the old is going to go, and like I said, the sun comes up and it goes down, and we're going to need to deal with this, and we start moving through that curve and get more into the acceptance phase, then we can start dealing with that confusion and uncertainty, and we're in limbo at this point, and start imagining those new beginnings and start imagining the possibilities of, actually, that could make a difference for me. And actually, I could see some benefits there. And actually, that old stuff, that report I was doing, well, maybe I didn't need to do that report. Maybe I didn't need to go to that meeting. Maybe there's a different way of doing this and enhance the possibilities. To actually be able to transition, through that model is very, very useful for both of those. It helps us anticipate people's reactions, other people's reactions themselves, how they may be going through things. You can recognize that in others and help support them. It also, for someone who may be going through this particular change, just normalizing it, because you might recognize the stages from a previous change or from one of those models and think, actually, it's just normal, and change is all around us and change is always happening. So our choice of how we deal with it, therefore, can be a better choice if we understand and normalize that as it's just going to happen. So how do we move through those transitions? And of course, manage the expectations of others. So that theory is something that is quite useful to understand. However, that's great. And personally, I've been through quite a lot of change, and there's some great theories out there. And so at this point, am I the expert? Well, I agreed to do this talk before I had some major change in my life. So interestingly, I wanted to sort of talk to you from a personal point of view. This is just a graph of my personal career journey. So my age on the left, how long I was in a role, and the companies I've worked for. So I worked for Cisco for a very long time, 10 years, lots of roles there. Moved over to work for Sony Ericsson, or Sony as it became, another great period. Couple of turbulent times through Joseph and Costa Coffee, and then a nice long period at PlayStation, managing very well with all the changes that come within the business. And then unfortunately, 5 weeks ago, I lost my job. So I came to an agreement with my manager to leave PlayStation, changing the organization, and the tornado hits. And so I'm there straight at the top of that curve, straight at the left-hand side of that emotional curve, going through all the same anger, denial, frustration, thinking, well, this isn't fair, this can't be right. And even though I had all of this theory, this, the ability in theory just to cope with this and just quickly move to the right-hand side, I went through every single emotion on that change curve. I've been through this journey personally over the next few weeks, and I'm now really very much in that acceptance phase, and I'm building, and I've got some great opportunities coming up. But it really reminded me that this theory is fantastic, but when you're in the eye of the tornado, sometimes it can be very difficult. In fact, quite a lot of time it's very difficult, which is why a lot of people, I think, see change as something that they try to avoid. So it really reminded me that it's a great topic, but it's a constant learning exercise. Nobody ever properly solves this. So how do you start again? How do you cope with that change? Straight away, like I've talked about there's a downside. You get emotionally overwhelmed. It can affect you physically. You really need to be aware of that when a small or even a large change happens. You can feel quite paralyzed. If you can see the upside straight away, then great, you can get energy from it. Personally, I thought I'd get a lot of energy from change, and generally do. But there are sometimes you just don't. You have to manage that downside. What can help with that? I found this, you will have heard of these mindsets before. The growth mindset and the fixed mindset comes from a lot of research. The fixed mindset on the right hand side there, straight away as soon as change happens, it's something out of our control. I'm either good at it or not. I'm just going to give up. It's something outside of my control. I don't like this. Whereas if you can apply the growth mindset, which is that constant, curious, always learning mindset, okay, so I'm going to persevere here, and I'm going to look to see how I react to this challenge. What can I learn? An interesting thing here is that when I fail, I learn. About a year ago, somebody I used to work with told me that their child had been told at school that FAIL is actually an acronym, and it stands for a first attempt in learning. So every failure is a learning opportunity, which is a growth mindset attitude. So if you take that approach of taking that growth approach and saying, okay, it's going to happen, seen it before, I've normalized it, I know the models, what are the ways that practically I can keep moving forward here? And this comes down to this, to my mind, which is control the controllables. There are lots of things happening all the time that are out of our control. So what are the things that you can focus on, or your team can focus on, or the project can focus on? And that often means with prioritization, what can you let go? And people always think prioritization is choosing the things that you're going to do. I find it's very much actually the most important thing is, what are you going to stop? What are you not going to do right now? What are you not going to focus on? And that's harder, but more important. You can learn through this process. You can also decide how much time to dedicate to this. So are you going to spend your whole day consumed by this change? Or is it something that you're going to focus some time on and then go and do something else? Whether that's another work task, whether that's getting out into nature, whether that's go and do something personally for you. You've got to try and keep it compartmentalized. You've got to control the impact that it has. And then for you personally, you've got to think with every change, what can I do next? What is it that actually this could lead me on to? So I've suddenly been told I'm not going to create that report anymore. Okay, so what am I going to do? What could I do? And something I'm going to come and ask you a question about in a minute is something that I've always lived my career through. What are my three truths? What are the three things that I really enjoy about any role that I do that I want to make sure that I'm continually getting better at and getting experienced at? And hopefully that keeps everything balanced. My personal three truths, the three things that I like with any role. I love team leadership. I like helping people, mentoring people, growing organizations. I like leading people. So my roles have always had that. So if there's an opportunity and a change to look at growing further in a leadership space, great. I've always liked to be close to commercial decision making and helping companies make the right decision, or analyzing a decision that's been made to say, actually, was that the right decision? So again, can I analytically look at this? And then my third truth is I like to be close to the customer, to consumers. I've worked in sales for a couple of years, understanding actually what is it about propositions and consumers that actually will buy our products. So does this change make us more attractive to a consumer, more attractive to a customer? What are those three truths personally that I have, and how can I see whatever's happening around us as something that I can then get benefit from within this change? So I challenge you all now just to think for a moment. Actually, as I've been talking about my three truths personally for me, what are your three truths? What are the three things that you have to have in every role? And while you're thinking about that, I talked a bit about my career previously. Each one of those roles had a little bit more of one of those things. I might be managing a large team, but nowhere near the customer. I was in sales, but without a team. So each time you don't have to have all three truths, but it's quite important to bear them in mind. My last role at PlayStation, I had all three truths. It's fantastic. But what are your three truths? What are the three things that really drive you in your role? If anyone's brave enough to put those in a chat or come off mute and let us know, then obviously really keen to hear those and share those. They're often very useful to talk to someone and say, hey, I think my three truths are, and see if that they come back and say, yeah, I can see that. You've always gone after that. Or actually, well, if that's your truth, why are you not focusing on that?
Alistair, Louise Graham says, one, I have to have high integrity. Two, the people are so important. And three, I have to enjoy work.
Enjoyment, yeah, absolutely. And therefore, when we something comes up like this, how can you make sure those three truths are embedded in everything you do? I think it's very important because you are a major component of whatever's happening from a change point of view, and that way you can get back to what drives you and the controllables around you, make it work for you. Brilliant. So yeah, keen to discuss those more if at the end, maybe if other people have other thoughts on that. Let's then talk about how you'd apply this in a work setting. So there's the theory, there's the journey, there's the sort of what you would in theory do as any change comes up, whether it's a small change or a large change in a big organization. But how do we apply that to work? So I spend a lot of time talking to people about Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Effective People, which was published 35 years ago. So it's a very old piece of work, but I find it's quite instructive to go back to these things. And what I'll do now, these are the 7 habits on the screen here. It's a very dry text, but I think the message is good, and it's good for using this then as to how you'd apply this within a work setting. So when we look at change is going to happen. So one, be proactive, search it out. You can see change coming sometimes, but you've got to open your eyes. When we look at a change that's happening, why are we wanting this to happen? So begin with the end in mind. What actually is the future vision that we're looking to move towards? What is it that will look better at the end of this? And then as you start doing something, you've got to do one thing. You've got to put the first thing first. And that may be from the model before, stopping something. You've got to work with others. You've got to think win-win. You've got to be collaborative. You've got to be cross-functional. You are not the only person going through change. There'll be other people in your team, other teams across the business, possibly other suppliers or customers. So talk to them about it and see how this change can make sense for everybody. Otherwise, you'll have a very unsuccessful change. And this, for me, number 5 in the green box is the mantra that I would really like everyone to take away. Seek first to understand before you're understood. In anything that's going on, you know your personal view of it, but do you know others? Do you truly go and listen to others? So what is it about this change that will impact you? What is it you don't like about the current that we might stop? What is it about the future that would really, really work for you? Go and understand other people. And with that information, you can then synergize, put a plan together. Everyone can get around that, collaborate that, understand where you're going. And then the last one's a funny one, sharpen the saw. If you've never heard this before, it's what you're doing today. It's learning and development and improving. Everything is therefore an opportunity to do that. The story behind this, just very quickly, a man was asked to cut down 100 trees, cut down 40 by lunchtime. I thought, well, I've got 60 to do this afternoon, can't stop, carried on, cut down 30 in the afternoon, only cut down 70 trees. Bit of a disaster. Another guy was asked to do 100 trees, cut down 40 by lunchtime, not going very well. Decided to stop, took a breath, had his lunch, had a drink, sat there, sharpened the saw, thought about the trees that had gone well, those that hadn't, and actually started refreshed, re-energized with a plan, much more effective, smashed out 60 trees in the afternoon. Because he'd taken that time to actually think, plan, learn, develop, came back more effectively. So with those habits, you can apply those to change, to be proactive, to have a plan, to work with other people, to be collaborative. When you're making a change, again, it could be a project. I think these dimensions, which are the project management dimensions, actually are very, very useful all the time. Whatever you choose to change, you can only really spend in one of these three dimensions. You can apply more time, you can spend more money or resource, or you can improve the quality. And if you wanted to, if you've got all the money in the world, then you can take all the time in the world and get an amazing product, amazing quality, new process or report or system. Sometimes you sort of say, actually, do you know what? We haven't got the time and I've only got two people to do it. So we're going to limit the quality. So be realistic with those dimensions as to what you can apply on this. What's the quality you need? What's the time you've got? How much resource do you really have for this? And then be realistic. So just moving forward here, once you've got all of that together and you know what you're aiming for, you've talked to people, you understand how you're going to get to it, communicate, communicate, communicate. And that's the thing for me, which always goes wrong with change and change management. Really making sure everyone's clear on what the why is. Why are we doing it? What's the reason? And you'll have maybe source that together with people. It's not just your truth, it's the wider truth of why this makes sense. And everyone going, yeah, I understand. That's why this makes sense. And then how are we going to do it? And how are we going to go about that? What's the process? What's the timeline? What's everyone's role? How will I understand what's going on in this? And that's then the final point, because people often think communication is one way, broadcast, which is what I'm doing right now. But communicate actually is a two-way process. So we play this out. You've got to properly listen and understand. People will be going through that curve, remember. People might be just on the resistance or the endings phase. You've got to listen. You've got to validate that. You've also got to bring them forward. And they might have some great idea on the future they're facing, where you want to go to, that vision that you need to incorporate. So listen and communicate. Don't communicate once, keep communicating. Find ways to keep those communication channels open. And that's the way that you move through as an organization, those coping curves. Because ultimately, change is about people changing to that new beginning, and sort of being comfortable that it's right, that they aligned it with their three truths, that they're learning, they're feeling that actually energized by that whole thing. Not diminished like we saw before, but actually energized by change. It can get there for everybody. Everyone eventually gets there. Like I said, sun goes up, comes down, we move forward. Once you've got the people and you've got the communication, then it is very, very much about momentum. Change is about momentum. So controlling the bits that you can control, the bits that you don't, they're dragging away your momentum. So the bits that you control, really focus on those. Focus on the opportunities for yourself from aligning to your three truths and for the organization, and get started. And then start celebrating those little wins. Yeah, we've identified all the problems. Fantastic. Got this sheet. Yeah, we've got the workshop set up, and we've got some great people on these workshops. Really excited to work with them. Let's get going. The vision is clear, and we've communicated that a couple of times now. It's great to see it out there. I'm glad that Bob was talking about it the other day, and Helen mentioned last week in her presentation. Great, we are off and running. We are on that road. We're on that journey. It's a roller coaster, and we're out down the other side. So from a work setting, it can all be done. And just to sort of bring that to life before I wrap up, I had to do this a couple of years ago when we moved the PlayStation organization from four regional organizations, one in America, one in Europe, one in Asia, and one in Japan. We had to move that into one global organization. So 44 people across those four regions, and we needed to change the way that we worked. So that's all the policies, all the way we reported, the way we interacted with other parts of the business in finance, and we needed to have the RACI clarified. So everything, everyone's roles, responsibilities, who was accountable, who we're talking to. So to do that, what we needed to start with was being very clear at the start that there's a benefit for us moving to a global organization and why we wanted to do that from an efficiency, a consistency, an ability to sort of get deeper into the analytics, have a clearer data set, to eliminate some of the issues, cross regional issues that you may have, because we were in PlayStation selling a truly global product. So there were clear issues that would be improved. So once we'd communicated that, then we had a look back. We had a consultant firm come in and help us with a time and motion study and analytic of what everybody was doing, which can seem a bit, we're being checked at this point. We're being, big brother. But actually, that was one of the biggest learnings. That once we did that and had everything in black and white, it really took the emotion out. We then formed work groups of people who maybe were responsible for AR or responsible for reporting or responsible for business partnering. Look at that analytic across the world and go, it's brilliant what they do in the US. Why aren't we doing that in other places? Oh my God, there's two people here doing exactly the same thing with a slightly data set. Oh, surely that's a possibility. So once we did that look back in an analytic way, in a black and white fashion, empowered the work groups and got those workbooks continually communicating out to the wider group, that helped with the communication, helped with the momentum. It identified the need for global processes, global tools. In fact, we ended up putting a new financial planning system across the top of the global organization. So, it created opportunities for people to say, we've always wanted a new planning tool. Great. We can now, it makes sense to do this. And then for everyone within that, people had slightly different roles going forward. They might have an opportunity to have what they did before and do it globally, or they might have moved to a different role, a different function, but aligned to, I never used to like doing reporting and now I'm doing business partnering. That's fantastic. And we took the whole organization on that journey over a year on a global basis. As you can imagine, time zones and shared worksheets were quite a problem. But we got there through that communication, through identifying why we were doing it, and then with that ongoing communication and creating that momentum, we got out the other side and very successfully created a global organization, which is still there today. So final slide for me on this, very cheesy, and actually when you look at the title of the book, that's very appropriate. Change is the only constant. It's going to happen. And in this world, I think we're all feeling change happens. It happens more, it happens faster. It's going to happen. This is a fantastic book. It's about half a centimeter wide. It's a really quick little read, but it's brilliant. Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson. It's about two mice and two humans in a maze, and change happens. Someone keeps moving the cheese. So it's going to happen. Change is going to happen. If you think it's going to happen, it probably is going to. So anticipate the change. Remember, be proactive. Keep checking what's going on. Keep checking where the cheese is. Keep smelling it. It might get old. You therefore need to be ahead of that curve. When it happens, adapt quickly. It's going to happen. Try and move yourself down that curve through those transition models. Enjoy it. You've been here before. Good sometimes comes of it. Savor the adventure, savor the challenge, savor the learning, savor the growth that you have, and be ready to change quickly. And when you get there, be ready to change again. Move with the cheese and enjoy it. So yeah, good little read that, but that summarizes, change is going to happen. And hopefully what I've explained today are some of the models and processes that I've used and the journeys that I've been on. Not always easy, but like I said, the sun comes up, it goes down, and change will happen. You'll come out the other side. And if you can come out with it, a bigger, better person, then, change can be really exciting. Thank you. That's my last slide.
All right, Alistair, why don't we see if we can? You've got some applause coming, some hearts. How about some questions to our attendees, I've got a question for you. Obviously, you just went through some change with PlayStation. I love that last little slide you showed of, with the cheese involved. But what if you're not ready for change? How do
Yeah.
you prepare yourself? What's your mindset to go, hey, listen, I got to adapt, I got to change, but how do I get there?
I think it's recognizing that change is happening. Like you say, you may not be ready for it. I certainly wasn't ready when I had that conversation. And give yourself a break because very few people will snap straight away and go, "Yeah, I'm off and running." Yeah. Give yourself time. Give yourself time. Recognize that your emotions are going to go up, and do that analytic that I was talking about. We did on a global scale, on a personal and a micro scale, and go, okay, so what actually is changing here? What actually is ending and what actually potentially is beginning, and just give yourself the time to take stock because the emotions are going to come up, and over time they will come down, and that hopefully will allow you to recognize, okay, sort of been here before, sort of know where this is going. And actually, what I can then do is go and talk to other people who might be affected, create those win-wins, those collaborative moments. And actually, once you've done that, you'll find you're coming down that slope, you're going through the transitions, momentum started, and actually you're changing before you know it. But take the time at the start. Don't react. Just analyze. I'm an analyst at the end of the day, so I'd probably say that. But that would be my advice. Absorb.
Now, that's a change that you were unprepared for. What if you're looking personally to change? So, you're with a company that you're enjoying, but you've just kind of went to the top of as
Yeah,
far as you want to go with that company, and you're thinking, I need a change. So
yeah.
I want to tell them about the change. How do you go about doing so?
So the two things that I mentioned, I'd go back to your three truths. If you've not thought about it, what actually is it that excites you about any role? It might not be today, might be a role in the future. And how can you get better at those, your super strengths? And that may help you then decide actually what it is that you want to change. And then the second thing is again taking that sort of that personal analytic of okay, I've reached the top, but then what actually is it that's either holding me back that actually I want to stop, or actually that I want to move forward because I haven't got. And what you can then do is find those opportunities to change you, build you up. I think change and development comes through education, exposure, or experience. So you might need to go and read something, you might need to go and meet someone, do a mentoring, you might need to take a project role on, but you can only identify what those things are when you've actually aligned to your three truths and you've actually taken a look at yourself. I would suggest it's personal development that would create that change for you. And hopefully you're in an organization that helps you do that. Otherwise, you might just need to take that on yourself outside of your role. And then there will be an opportunity. The sun will come up and come down, and you'll find your summit. You'll get your three truths, and you'll be all the way up at the summit.
Now, I'm just going to keep picking your brain here because I love where you're going with this. Now, let's change the roles here a bit. What if a loved one, your partner, is going through a change? How do you help them? Because
Uh,
it's going to happen,
yeah,
and
yeah, it's going to
sometimes
happen,
you
and
just as a partner, I'm engaged. I'm getting married. My fiance Michelle in less than a month, and I know there's going to be a lot of changes, and we may pivot. She might pivot her career, and it's going to be some stressful and difficult times. So, how do you go about helping a significant other in your life?
it's a very interesting question, and actually, I personally find sometimes we're a bit too close to be that coach. So you can start going off down the. All right, so what we do, darling, is we'll just do an analytic here, and you're on this curve, and you'll be fine. And that's not probably what she or your partner or someone close wants to hear. So to a certain extent, you probably then need to expand the network a bit. Of course, you can be there. You're probably best there for emotional support. You probably can give some advice, but what you probably need to do is find that third person in the relationship or somebody else that you say this is someone. I found someone who's been down here before that might be useful for you to talk to, things along those lines. If you're both going through the change, then I think communicate, And that model that I did on the transition model is quite useful in terms of, okay, we're about to change. I think this is going to end for me. This is going to end for me. I'm a bit worried about this ending. But actually, do you know what? What I'm excited about is that starting, that starting, and that starting. And you can be clearer on the things that are ending and starting, either side of the change. But coping with it is probably a bit difficult to coach someone through that curve if you're really close to them. Good luck though, Rob, and congratulations.
Thank you. Dinner and a couple bottles of wine helps too.
Yeah, that's a good stuff. That creates the momentum. You see, you're off.
Any final thoughts, Alistair?
Um, I personally love change and get excited for change. I was hurt by change a month ago, so it's never plain sailing. But I just encourage everybody to grasp the opportunities with change. It's like my last slide. It's going to happen. Get excited by it, understand it, and don't worry. If the sun comes up, it goes down, the world keeps turning. There will always be a tomorrow. So try and just get off down that curve and get going.
As Louise Graham just said, really interesting, Alistair. Thank you very much. And yes, for more information on where people can contact you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn probably would be the best. What I'll do is I'll just drop that into the chat in a second. But yeah, please do get in contact. Like I said, it's a subject I find quite fascinating and energizing. So more than happy to have a chat with anybody.